In the aftermath of the Venezuelan municipal elections, one thing's clear to our reporter: this may have been the worst attended vote in the nation's history. We visited no less than 10 locations in Caracas. We saw plenty of Chavist activists asking for people's personal information before voting and mobilizing to swoop on opposition boycott protests. Soldiers did not intervene. The biggest mistake was to have lost a united opposition, to have started fighting each other. People thought unity was the key to victory. Our leadership was not able to tell people what was happening. Instead of talking to the people, they hid behind the people, calling for abstention, just like in 2005 and 2017. Euronews had problems filming and interviewing people. The former secretary of the opposition coalition, Jesus Torrealba, was provoked by Chavists taking pictures of him while he voted. The Chavists stopped us from shooting and threatened Torrealba. This is a catastrophe. If we want to solve the Venezuelan problem in a peaceful way, this must be done with huge popular participation. Here today, the right to express yourself was attacked. On one side, the government has committed frauds, taking away the right to vote from the citizens. And on the other hand, the opposition was fractured, incoherent, and the citizens don't trust them either. It's yet another election in Venezuela, but this time the people seem to no longer believe in the electoral process. We saw very few people voting and polling stations empty, despite what the government says.
Da Caracas, per Euronews, Alberto De Filippis.
The World Trade Organization's 11th ministerial conference has opened in Buenos Aires, with regional leaders calling for the need of a more inclusive form of global commerce. Argentina's President Mauricio Macri has promoted business-friendly policies since taking office 2 years ago. We live in a time of profound global transformation, and it's the responsibility of us all to face up to the challenges of the 21st century and convert them into opportunities for a more inclusive future. Outside, several hundred people gathered to protest against the event in the center of the Argentine capital. We understand that they are the global representatives of international capitalism, and right now we want to show them the state of our most impoverished sectors of society due to the policies of the Argentine president's government.
Lo que buscamos es mayor distribución de la riqueza, que se tenga en cuenta a los pueblos, a las personas y no a las corporaciones.
Some expect little progress to be made in Buenos Aires given the unwillingness of the United States to reach agreements and President Donald Trump's America First motto, creating fears of a fallout over protectionism.
Firefighters in California are making progress in their battle against raging wildfires. The Santa Ana winds that have fueled the blazes have dropped off slightly, allowing officials to lift evacuation orders for parts of Ventura and Santa Barbara counties. But with forecasters predicting the winds will pick up strength on Sunday, fire crews are engaged in a desperate race against time. Since the first fires erupted on Monday, dust and cinders are making the atmosphere and environment increasingly difficult to breathe. California's Governor Jerry Brown has blamed climate change for the intensity of the fire, saying situations like these are the new normal. In Jerusalem, Israeli troops are out in force this Sunday as the fallout continues over America's decision to recognize the city as Israel's capital. Several people were arrested on Saturday as police clashed with suspected protesters on the third day of rage. Scuffles also broke out between Israeli forces and Palestinians at protests in Gaza and the West Bank. Demonstrations were less intense than on the previous 2 days. About 60 Palestinian youths threw stones at Israeli soldiers across the Gaza-Israel border. At least 10 people were wounded by Israeli fire. In the West Bank, Palestinians set fire to tires and threw stones and firebombs at Israeli troops who used tear gas. The Israeli military said one protester was arrested. Israeli airstrikes in Gaza killed 2 Palestinian gunmen on Saturday after militants fired rockets from the enclave into Israel on Friday.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has pledged to fight to reverse the United States' recognition of Jerusalem as the Israeli capital. Erdogan has called a summit of Islamic countries in Istanbul this Wednesday. In a speech in central Turkey, he lashed out against Israel. Israel is a terrorist state. We won't leave Jerusalem to the mercy of a child-murdering country. We won't leave Jerusalem to the mercy of a state that has no value other than occupation and plunder. We will continue our struggle within the law and democracy with determination. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is currently in Europe. He met with French President Emmanuel Macron ahead of talks with EU foreign ministers in Brussels on Monday. Asked about Erdogan's harsh words, Netanyahu fired back.
I'm not used to receiving lectures about morality from a leader who bombs Kurdish villagers in his native Turkey, who jails journalists, who helps Iran go around international sanctions, and who helps terrorists, including in Gaza, kill innocent people. That is not the man who is going to lecture us.
Demonstrations have been held across Turkey and the Middle East since Donald Trump's declaration on Jerusalem. An estimated 10,000 people rallied on Sunday in Istanbul to protest the move. Three people have been arrested after an attempted arson attack at a synagogue in the Swedish city of Gothenburg. Local media reported a community center adjacent to the synagogue was open for a youth event when around 20 masked men threw Molotov cocktails at the building. The young people were said to have huddled in the basement, and no injuries or damage to the synagogue were reported. The motive for the attack was not immediately clear, but it follows anti-Semitic incidents in other Swedish cities over the weekend in protest over the United States' controversial decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Security has reportedly been tightened outside synagogues across the capital, Stockholm, following the incident.
With a white Christmas on the cards, Britain is bracing itself for more travel disruption ahead. Large parts of the country saw snow on Sunday with nearly 30 centimetres in Wales. But the most snow experienced in 5 years has grounded flights, shut down roads and severely disrupted rail services. At Heathrow Airport, de-icing planes caused hundreds of delays and cancellations. Flights were also briefly suspended at Birmingham and other London airports. Rail travel was also severely disrupted in the Midlands and on trains to and from Oxford. Emergency services had to attend several incidents on snow-covered roads in the Midlands. The Met Office has issued yellow weather warnings for ice for some parts of the country, with 130 km/h winds expected in the southeast. Meanwhile, hundreds of schools have also closed as temperatures dropped to as low as -10 in rural areas. But the wintry weather hasn't forced everyone into hibernation.
Yeah, absolutely love it. It doesn't happen all too often, so obviously we've got to take full advantage of it when you can.
Televidente, momento po ang espasyo komersyal. Oras na back ng si Forman Deportivo.